Welcome back to the show. Joining us now is the founder and president of the Article 3 Project, also happens to be one of our favorite legal experts to have on the show, Mike Davis. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, I want to throw this tweet up on the screen. Things are getting very disturbing around D.C. This is from shutdown_DC. D.C. service industry workers, if you see Kavanaugh, Alito, Thomas, Gorsuch, Coney Barrett, or Roberts, DM us with the details. We'll Venmo you $50 for a confirmed sighting and $200 if they're still there 30 minutes after your message. Mike, I've been watching this new series, Billy the Kid, and digging in a little bit on the Wild Wild West and bounties on those folks, and this just seems a little scary. It kind of looks like we're getting into this place with bounties on the heads of Supreme Court justices. It's a little too Wild Wild West for me.
Yeah, this is, I don't know why the FBI is allowing this to happen. I don't know why Twitter is allowing this account to continue on its platform when they are calling for intimidation campaigns against federal judges. That is obstruction of justice, whether it's at their home under 18 U.S.C. 1507 or in public, 18 U.S.C. 1503. You cannot harass and intimidate federal judges over their rulings. And that's exactly what they're doing here. And we see this amnesty coming out of Attorney General Merrick Garland, and it's puzzling to most people because he's a former federal judge. He's the chief law enforcement officer of the United States, yet he's letting these threats against Supreme Court justices flourish online. This is the same attorney general who sent the FBI, sicked the FBI after parents protesting at public school board meetings in Loudoun County, and every grandma and goofball who trespassed on January 6th, even those who weren't violent, but he can't be bothered to protect Supreme Court justices with our federal obstruction of justice laws. He can't be bothered to protect Catholic churches that are being firebombed and attacked, pro-life pregnancy centers that are being firebombed and attacked. This Attorney General Merrick Garland has completely fallen down on the job, and when Republicans take over in January in the House, they need to impeach him.
Yeah, and I have to say, it feels like this wouldn't happen under any other administration. I think that oatmeal cookie batter has more consistency than anyone in this administration. But with respect to Merrick Garland, is the decision to not pursue this, is that isolated with him, or do you think he's getting pressure from the Biden administration to not pursue these folks? Does the buck stop with him?
The buck stops with him as the Attorney General. He's the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States, and he's shown he has no problem sending the FBI after the political causes with which he agrees. And so clearly, he must enjoy this amnesty. We saw Jen Psaki from the White House podium encouraging these illegal intimidation campaigns of these justices. Justice Kavanaugh, his wife, and their two young daughters faced a middle of the night assassination attempts. This is a dangerous game that the left is playing here. And you have to wonder, what does Merrick Garland want to happen here? Why is he standing by and doing nothing? Does he want one of these justices to get killed? What would happen if white nationalists harassed and intimidated Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson over next year's affirmative action case before the Supreme Court? There's no way that Twitter or law enforcement would tolerate this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's absolutely no consistency. A guest that we frequently have on this show, Kevin Brock, he's former intel chief at the FBI, called these folks who are calling for the bounties anti-fascists. He said that the DOJ has got to investigate them. I know that we haven't seen any movement so far with respect to that, but I guess the optimist side of me is hoping that maybe with public pressure that the DOJ will do something. Do you see any legal movement on this in the future?
I don't know. I mean, I think Merrick Garland has shown that he is a pure partisan hack, which is surprising as someone who was a former federal judge and a Supreme Court nominee. Thank goodness that he didn't make his way to the Supreme Court. And my former boss, Justice Neil Gorsuch, got that spot because a Justice Merrick Garland would have been a disaster, as we're seeing in his role as Attorney General.
Yeah, and I wanted to switch gears a little and ask you, Senator Josh Hawley, I think most of the internet has seen this exchange that took place, a very Well, it wasn't necessarily fiery on Josh Hawley's part, but this UC professor seemed to get a little irritated about the line of questioning regarding transgenderism and who can birth children. And the radical left on social media seems to have absolutely melted down from this. It really feels like we are living in a post-truth era where up is down, left is right, black is white. I know this isn't a legal question, it's more philosophical, but your thoughts?
I think Josh Hawley should get like a congressional prize for keeping a straight face during this questioning by this radical, crazy, woke goofball professor. It's amazing that academia can hire these people because no one else in the real world would. And so they should be very fortunate that academia has so much bloat and waste that they can hire these blowhards to go do what they do. But this whole transgender pronoun 15 identities movement, this is not about transgender kids. This is about division in this country. That they do the racial division, they do the sexual division, they want to do the gender division. It's about divide and conquer by the Marxist left, and we just can't keep falling for it.
Mike, you are the legal expert here. I'm trying to remember who said this. I believe it was John Adams, but I could totally be wrong. But there's a quote about emotion driving legislation and driving law, and how it doesn't create good law. I'm worried about this current zeitgeist that we exist in, where emotion, especially on the left, they are trying to use emotion to call for policy changes. How damaging is that to our country?
Well, thank goodness we have a 60-vote threshold in the Senate to pass legislation. And the Democrats are talking about getting rid of that. And if Joe Manchin or Kristen Sinema or one of these so-called moderate Democrats caves on this, whether it's the Green New Deal or whatever, abortion, whatever issue the Democrats can get them to cave on, you're going to see radical revolutionary change by the Democrats. They're going to pack the Supreme Courts. They're going to add new states with Democrats, 2 new Democrat senators in each state. And they're gonna take away our right to speak, to associate, to worship, to protect ourselves with firearms. This is a pivotal time. We need to get through November, and people need to turn out this election and vote for constitutionalist candidates who can put a critical check on this madness from the woke left.
Absolutely. It would be a delight to turn Joe Biden into a lame duck president come January when the new Congress takes over. But Mike Davis, founder and president of the Article 3 Project, everybody go check out his work online. Mike, we appreciate you joining us.